Hello and welcome to A Life of Creation. My name is Chad and I'm the host of this channel. If you've liked what you've seen so far, please like and subscribe and click that notification button so that you know when I release new videos. Tonight I am talking to Jonathan Chu, a violinist, a photographer, a barista, and a multitude of other things. So let's hear his answers to the 10 questions. Just use an overlay. So, welcome to A Life of Creation. I'm here with Jonathan Chu, and he is answering the 10 questions. So, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Question one: what does it mean to you to live a life of creation?
Ooh. Um, what does it mean to me? I think what it means to me is being willing to first open my heart to the Holy Spirit and what God is doing. As a believer in Jesus, my heart is to express Him the best that I possibly can, and to utilize the gifts He's given me to do that, and to honor Him with that. And so, it's being knowledgeable, being familiar with what talents I have in my hands, um, knowing my capabilities, but also being willing to dive into things that I don't know or styles as a violinist, styles I don't know, being willing to challenge myself with that so that I can honor him through performance, through encouraging people through my music. Um, but to live a life of creation is enjoying the process as much as doing as much as like performing, and so enjoying the steps of the practicing and learning how to kind of challenge yourself and be frustrated and be okay with those things, um, because a lot of that work applies in the rest of life as well, and in learning how to deal with certain people in certain situations and going, okay, this is really tough. But my skills as a musician has taught me how to problem solve well and how to look at situations and scenarios differently and how to look at music and go like, well, what would this sound like with a different voicing? Just like with people, some people express themselves different with a different set of tools or a different set of words. And so being able to be good listening at them, encouraging one another when they're trying to express an idea. That applies the same as my music. And so creating is being someone that wants to enjoy their art, and go out, share their art well, and okay with the frustration aspect of the art, which is always the challenging part, like getting over the hurdle of like, oh, this is so frustrating. I don't know how to do this thing, but um, learning how to love that process, all those little elements, is what it means for me to live a life of creation.
Yeah, it's crazy that creation is such a process, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And it's half the time I'm like, I don't care for my end product, but I enjoyed getting there.
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
And I think
Yeah.
that's really what it is. It's just you enjoy the process. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well, question two. Um, I believe that everyone is made to create. I think it's one of our purposes as human beings. There is the glamorous side of creation, artists, musicians, etc. But I think there's a lot of value in the workman's approach to creation
Mm,
as well.
yeah.
What are areas you see the value in creation, but are often underrated or not even acknowledged as creation.
The hours behind the scene, um, the hours behind the scene of a creator, that the phrase of 15 minutes of fame. I mean, it really is true. Like as an artist that's on stage every night, 80 to 100 shows a year, my time on stage really is about 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. um, and everybody thinks like, "Wow, you're so talented." I'm like, you're so good at what you did." It's like, "You're such a natural." I'm like, "Nope, nope." There's lots and lots of blood, sweat, and tears, literal blood, sweat, and tears went into getting to where I am right now. And I 100% agree with that idea of the workman's approach. That um, there are certain things people are gifted in and are have some natural inclination towards. But most of the people that you see that are excelling in their field have spent thousands of hours behind the scene honing in their craft, and dealing with the frustration and the agony of the creative process of it. It doesn't just come naturally. Editing a photo for the first time and sitting down to Lightroom or Photoshop, you are staring at something that's over your head. It's way harder than the actual just clicking of the button. Um, but you want to learn, you want to figure it out. And I mean, I remember reading so many books on how to develop in Lightroom and how to use the app, and having to keep going back and going, where's that slider? Um, but after doing that, slowly getting better and better and being able to teach others and learn from others. um, Man, that is definitely the underrated side of it.
Yeah.
The actual labor intensive side of your 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Um, for sure.
Yeah. I think, it's people don't really think about what you've gone through to get where you are.
Yeah.
Like, I spent many, many nights, you know, up late shooting concerts for free, editing,
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to get jobs to survive.
Yeah.
Because,
100%.
and it's, I work with people who haven't done that. Not
Yeah.
at least they may be have done their own slight version of it, but it's
Yeah.
like
They
I was
they
just
still got a few more years of work.
yeah, I mean I think about it sometimes. I'm like, I've been working my current job longer than they've held a camera.
Yeah. I get
And
that.
it's like, one, I'm old, and two, it's like
I feel that.
they need to put in hours,
Yeah. Yep.
and I want so I'm kind of in a lead position now, and it's kind of like, how do
Nice.
I'm still navigating how to I'm in that weird transition of I need to start passing the torch,
Sure.
and it's kind of like, how do I do that?
Yeah. How do you do it? Yeah. How do you do it, and how do you do it well,
Right.
um,
When
and
I
pass off
don't,
something?
yeah, and I don't feel like they've put in the time like I have.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah.
like why do they deserve it? But I mean, they're working towards it like I did.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird mindset of like they got to go through the paces. And then you're like, well, I'm supposed to put them through the paces. So how do I do that? But
Oh, that is definitely the challenge of I've got twin girls, and like helping them walk through the paces of not just when they're practicing their instrument, but the aspect of how that applies to a lot of the rest of life. The hard work that you put in here will pay off if you're truly letting that hard work affect you.
yeah,
That will pay off in the future, and that also applies to everything else you do. If you're truly putting your heart and your head into this, it'll pay off. It'll end up
yeah.
working. It's
And
just that it's that repetition and doing it and getting in there, and letting letting the workout aspect of the um, that idea of like building muscle requires you to tear your muscle
Right.
1,000 million micro tears in your muscle before you actually build muscle while it's repairing itself. That same concept is exactly the creative artistic process.
Like we had kind of touched on it before, even, people have natural inclinations towards things.
Yeah,
Like accountants are good with numbers, you know, I can push a button, you can play a violin well, but it's like, yeah, we may have natural inclinations, but
yeah,
there's still so much journey that's involved in getting to a point where you're confident enough to do it and
absolutely.
make it your livelihood.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that's I would say that's probably another thing that's often overlooked is the self-worth aspect.
yeah,
Um, like having self-worth, seeing that what you're bringing to the table is important, not just for yourself, but for other people. Um, I think that part of the creation aspect is not taught often. We're always so hard on ourselves as well as other people are hard on us that we don't ever believe when someone says that's really good.
right.
And I think that that aspect of the work in progress, working towards progress, um, we should take time to believe when people say that's really good,
Yeah,
and let that help drive us to the next goal.
right.
Because I think a lot of times we just keep bashing ourselves in.
I,
It's not good enough. You gotta keep
yeah.
doing it better.
I mean, the artists are the worst self-critics, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like
You see every speck of dust on an
oh,
image that like no one would ever notice, or
right.
one hair out of place, or one weird thing. Yeah.
Oh, I deal with that a lot at work. They're like,
Yeah.
we don't see the whole graphic. They don't care. Just they want a cool image to look at. Please. They're gonna just be
Uh,
standing there like a plank. Let me shoot something cool. But it's just that fine
Product
line. Yeah.
photography, yeah, brand photography, yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard one to swallow sometimes.
I'm amazed by it. It's a world that I don't understand or have any knowledge of, but I think it's really amazing when you get a product that ends up on a magazine cover or a billboard in a store.
Yeah. I mean, I get photos hung up in the front of our stores all the time and
So wild,
all over the country, and it's like
so wild.
it's still like there's something that brings me joy about it.
Yeah.
It's but I've I think the more I've done it, the more I'm like, early on I was like, I want to shoot the picture. I want all the credit. Now it's like there's like 30 people who are helping on this. I just happened to push the button at this time, you know. So
Right.
it's like it comes with wisdom, and I think that's part of why, as you get older, you start thinking about passing that torch
Yeah.
because you're like the glory doesn't matter to me anymore.
Yeah.
It's the end results are what matters, and it's like I don't care who does it. Let's just get it done.
Right. Let's do a good job.
Right. I want to keep getting paid.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't care. Let's just do this.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a fun journey. Many, many hours.
It is. It is. It's a fun journey. And I think that like if we continue to as creatives choose that idea that it is a fun journey. The hard journey is a fun journey still, as much as a fun part of the journey.
Right. Yeah. Even the hard work is worth it for
Yes.
sure. Question number 3. Do you believe you need to be passionate about what you create?
Yeah. Um, believing first of all in the thing that I'm creating and then being passionate about the thing that I'm creating. I think those are both very important for the creator. Um, it gives me a lot of perspective as a creator of music, of a creator of photography, of art, thinking about God as a creator and how much I want to put work into what I do and do it well and express it well, and thinking about him as a creator, as he did his like the best, and we have this opportunity to share that, and we have our opportunities to share love and share kindness and the grace that he has bestowed upon us to people. I want to do it well because my creator did it well. And so I want to create well and be passionate about that. And I hope that he, as a good creator, a good, um, yeah, good creator, a good maker, in my heart, I know how I feel about my work when it's finally out there. And I go like, man, I'm really proud of that. I really love what I did. Like I see all the little imperfections, but I don't let it hold me back of like, I still love that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think about that and go like, he still loves me. He still loves when I think I'm broken or messed up. He knows he's made the perfect thing. He's not perfect, but like he's made a good thing. Like we're not a broken. I'm not broken, and I can keep coming back to him and asking for help and thing and help in him and um, know that he'll be there for that. So yes, absolutely, you got to be passionate about what you create.
Yeah. I mean, I think you touched on something important is like us as creators, we create something. We see the flaws probably more than anyone else,
Right.
but we still manage to love it.
Yeah.
And, as a believer myself, I believe that we were created by God and, the ultimate creator.
Yeah.
And we're flawed and, messed up, but he still looks at us and goes, I love what I did there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
like you saying, you can then take your creations and then, you know, glorify God through that. It's kind of he's seeing his creation and going, they can go glorify me
Yeah.
through their creations. It's like this, you know,
Journey. Yeah.
journey,
It's
and
that journey process again.
that's crazy. I didn't even think
It's
about
so
that.
good.
Yeah. I can imagine him as the creator being able to just nitpick everything and go, "Oh man, I really messed up with that one."
What did
But
I
he
do
yeah,
there?
but he'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, someone will like it.
Yeah.
Question 4. I don't think your creation has to be good to grow from it. I am certainly not great at everything I do. What are some things you create that might not be considered great, but something you still gain value from the creation? And then second part, do you have words of encouragement for those who get discouraged when their creations fall short of their expectations?
Ooh, that's a big question. Um, I think everything that goes out um, has. Let me think about this a second. I think everything that goes out creation wise should be looked at from both the positive and the negative side of things. Like I spent a lot of years being just criticized and constantly nitpicking the negative, and I still do that. It's still kind of like my worst. I would say my worst part of who I am as a creative, and I really have. My wife has helped me a lot with. It's like, hey, can you at least list a positive of what you did? Like, okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
She's been really good about helping me with that process of thinking about my art differently. But I think that all your art that needs to go out, I wouldn't say necessarily it has to be good, but you need to at least make a good attempt. Um, I think that like everything that goes out may not be good. It may not be exactly what you wanted, but it has a place. And in every failure, it is a how did my teacher say it? Every failure is a step to the next achievement. Like you have to have a failure, you have to have things that aren't great to be able to go, I need to know what that felt like, what that experience was like, and use that as the next step to go to where I want to go. Um, Being willing to look at each thing and go like, I don't know if that was my best foot forward, but I learned from it. I learned how that process was to get there. Um, I think again, like the idea of putting your best foot into it, giving your best attempt at it, is is probably more important than is that product good or bad or had like looking at the way you got there is important. Um, I think for those that are feeling discouraged about how their creations are maybe not hitting whatever market is that they're looking for, um, I think it's important to keep trying. Don't stop. Don't give up. Um, there will be something that eventually does take as far as what you are trying, not just as you as an artist are trying to express, but what as the whoever hired you, whoever the consumer is. Like I think if you keep working towards it, you'll find that point that's like the sweet spot, and you'll end up seeing eye to eye with that person. If the person is just hiring is just you, then there will be some points you just like you got to accept that what I'm putting out is good. I think that you should keep creating though, like always. I mean, it's the idea of practice. My practice is never always perfect, but I'm practicing in a method that will help me produce a better product in the end. Um, and so, like, I think it's good just to create, just to do things. Definitely try things that you've never done before. I recently picked up crocheting. Um, my wife is I would call her a pro level crocheter, pro level knitter. She would probably wouldn't say that, but she is a capable teacher. And she is able to look at someone's piece and go, that's not quite right. We need to go back and fix this thing. Um, but it really got me thinking about like, I've never done that before. I don't know how to do that. Let's try it. And I I of course picked one of the harder things to try and accomplish in crocheting, which is amigurumi, which is like these little Japanese figures, like stuffed animals. And it 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 has challenged me more than I thought it would. I thought I'd pick it up fairly quickly, and there's some of it I have, but I made a little stuffed dragon for my nephew that was born at the beginning of this year, and I love what I created. It's not good,
Right.
but I love it, and I grew from that experience. And every time I start another project, I take it out. I have to undo that project probably 6 or 7 times. Um, but every time I do it, I get a little better. I get a little better, and I get a little better. And so like I'm the creature I'm working on right now. It's a little narwhal. It's really cute. I'll have to send you a picture of it. But it's a little narwhal, and one fin is bigger than the other fin. It's not quite in the right spot. It's not great work. It's okay. But for me, I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud that I've learned what I have learned so far, and that I've done it like 99.4% of it I've done on my own.
Right.
The rest of it, my wife is like, hey, I can do this, or you can learn how to do it yourself. And I'll walk you through it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do it myself. Like, or I'm gonna learn from you. You teach me how to do this, and I'll
Right.
learn. And and I've really loved that process. I've really loved stepping into a world that I don't know anything about and giving it a shot and being okay with the results that come out. But I still know that like I've made a good attempt at it. Like
Right.
I've taken it out 6 or 7 times to get it right, or just to get the hand motion down.
Right.
Um, and I think that's the important part of creating
Yeah.
is you have to have some discouragement, but you also have to be willing to pull yourself up and keep trying, keep
Right.
doing it.
And I think I think creators like the journey most of it, most of the
Right.
time. So it's kind of like, you may give it a shot, and then you may realize you don't like the process or you don't like the journey.
Yeah.
Move on to the next
Move
thing.
on to the next thing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
At least you tried.
Yeah.
Like I,
Being open-minded about that learning process is super important.
yeah. And
Yeah.
at work we shoot so much. I'm like, not everything
Yeah.
is going to be good. It's just impossible.
Right.
But thankfully, you know, because we shoot so much, it's like,
Yeah. You
okay,
have
this one
something.
sucked, but next one might be okay.
Yeah.
you know, like you and we I think because I'm been in an environment where we are always moving on to the next. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of time to sit and reflect on what
Wow.
happened. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, that wasn't great. Let's do better next time.
Yeah.
And then it's so you kind of have to just s- stop caring to a degree
Yeah.
and just going, I'm here because I am qualified.
Yeah.
I'll show them the next time, or
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
usually,
even just like doing the reps, like the reps
yeah,
of it are so important.
yeah,
Um,
totally,
and it just being again, I think that's where my heart really sits in the idea of like doing good. Uh, you may not have hopefully your work is good to a sense, but the process of getting there, that doing the good work,
right,
is super important. Like
yeah,
doing the repetitions over and over again, and doing it well. I think
yeah,
that's really important.
yeah. And I think realizing that you got to learn the small things in between
Yeah,
in order to do the full job later.
yeah, yeah, totally.
um, yeah, oh,
That's
um,
good.
number five. Not all creators would consider themselves artistic. Do you believe you have to be artistic to live a life of creation?
Hmm. I've never heard it kind of phrased that way. I think there's learned art for sure. I think that what I'm doing right now with crocheting, teaching a skill, um, like I'm never going to go out and make a pattern myself of a crocheted piece.
Right.
Um, but I do believe that I think that trying and experimenting and getting out there and stepping into things that you don't have comfort in, you're going to still you're going to learn something about that process that will teach you in what you are passionate about. Um, I think the willingness to be taught helps you to be a better creator. Um, and the thing may not be artistic, it may not wow somebody, but that process of, ooh, let me think about that a second. That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
I can tell you what I was like, my thought process of the question.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
So, what I was thinking at the time, I was thinking about, maybe an accountant or, um, a business person,
Yeah.
who all of us creative people are like, hell no, I don't want to do that. That's so boring.
Right.
But, having worked in a corporate office,
Yeah.
and like you said, people who do it and their brother, and it's like
Yeah.
you start actually seeing the amazing art, like they are creative people. It's
Yeah.
just a different form of creativity.
Yeah.
So it's like then they may not consider themselves artists,
Mm. Okay, I
but
see. I see.
we may look at them and go, no, what you're doing is art, because
Right.
that is amazing what you just came up with.
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily see it.
Right, right.
Um,
No, I think that's good. Okay. Um, I think yeah, I think willingness to see your work is the creative aspect, I think, of it all. Sorry. Ooh, this is a good question. I, it's hard because I think every creator, even in the idea that, um, even the idea that it may not be quote unquote artistic, sees beauty in the thing, in their thing. Um, and so I guess to use that term artistic, that a spreadsheet is not what maybe the general idea of art is, um, but it is beautiful. Um, so no, I guess not. I guess I don't. You don't have to be specifically artistic to be creative. I mean, you find ways to express an idea, and that's creativity. Being able to help someone see how your taxes are wrong. I mean, like explaining why is that formula not right?
yeah,
You have to find a sense of creativity to explain that to someone else.
yeah.
Man, that's a great question. That's gonna mull around in my head for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, I was also thinking about, like someone making a sandwich for someone.
Yeah.
It's not artistic, but they are
Mm.
creating a meal for someone.
Yeah.
And so they are, in in a way, being creators. They're creating a
Yeah.
meal for someone who that meal can then, help your kid get through their day. And it's like,
Sure. Yeah.
so
Yeah. I
I
guess
was
I don't see. I guess I don't think about like a Subway sandwich being artistic.
right,
But they are a creator. Yeah,
right,
I see it from that standpoint. But as a like, I mean, I guess like as a person that is a creator that is as a barista that loves to pour latte art, um, like I'm creating, but I also want to be artistic with the thing that I'm
right.
doing. I have a unique ability to see that. I think that those that live in a world where something is visually beautiful, and they're creating from it, they want something to be artistic,
Yeah.
but maybe on a level of like a line chef. They're not hoping that every single cut of an onion is artistic.
Right.
Yeah,
It's more like we need to get this done. Um,
yeah. I
but
need 30 onions chopped in like the next
yeah,
10 minutes.
yeah. One of my buddies made a good comment. He's like, we talked about accounting. He's like, well, I certainly want my tax guy to be creative,
Yeah, that's good.
you know. But I think the heart behind it was I want people to understand that even if you're not an artist, you're not, a musician, a photographer, what a painter, what have you,
Yeah,
your life can still be full of creation.
yeah, absolutely.
And what
Absolutely.
you do does matter and it impacts others.
That's so good. That's very good. That's very
And
good.
like one of my friends, he's very outgoing and he says hi to people walking down the street and will compliment them. And like that's not me. I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, created you
Yeah,
elevated an emotion in these people. That's
for sure.
creation,
Yeah.
and
That's good. That's beautiful, man.
it's
That's
just
really good.
I want people to realize that how they live their life, you are creating things that can actually ripple down to
Yeah.
other people,
Yeah.
even if it's not art. And I
Yeah.
and I am full believer that a good barista is an artist. It there is something there for sure. Question 6. Is there an experience or a time in your life where you realized that you were a creator?
Ooh. I would say yes. Like the first time that I remember one of the first times that I played a harmony along with someone playing the melody that just kind of came out. Like I didn't think about how it was being formed. I just started to play. Um, and I remember that first time, that first experience, and going, "What just happened? Why did that feel so different?" Um, and musicians, we have 12 notes. We have that's it. Like we like the idea, a lot of the idea with music is that there's nothing that's not been like there are very few melodies that have not been written. We're all plagiarizing off of each other's
Right.
melodies essentially.
Right.
And so, but to feel every time when I play or improv with somebody that I'm creating something new, um, even though I know that the same 12 notes exist for every single person, I think walking away from that, like every time I mean, pretty much every time I pick up my instrument, I feel like I'm in a moment of creation. Um, and there are times as a classical musician, there are definitely days where you've walked into a rehearsal space and going, I am just playing the notes on the sheet. Like this is just regurgitation. um, it does take special moments in classical music to go like, man, I created a moment here.
Yeah.
But it's really when you start to tie in your emotions and you really dig deep and to go, how can I best communicate this picture at this moment? That's
Yeah.
when you feel like a creator for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely have specific memories of being a young violin player and harmonizing for the first time to a melody that or a song that I had never heard before, and writing something for it and feeling really proud that something unique just happened. Yeah,
That's good.
that's good.
Yeah. I think I've been in a few bands, and there's been those moments where something just clicked,
Yeah.
and you're just like, holy cow.
Wow, that was special. Yeah.
Now can we do that about 10 more times?
Right.
But all right, number 7. Was there a family member or friend encouraging you to pursue your passion for creation?
Well, I was being made to create.
Right.
As a young kid of three, a young child of three, being dragged to violin lessons was not my first choice.
Dang, I can't even imagine that at 3.
It's
Like
no fun.
my kids would be bouncing off the wall and throwing that violin across the room.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, when you first start out, you have a little cardboard box that's about yay big and a ruler taped to it. That's your first
Okay.
violin. Your first violin is just a cardboard box, and with a wooden stick. And then we jokingly say, "All I play is a cardboard box with a wooden stick for the rest of life," because I mean, like it's just a box with the
Right.
holes in it, and you get some strings. So, um, yeah, I mean, I had lots of people as I grew in my abilities, really encouraged me to go like, "Hey, you should think about doing that. Like, would you be willing to do more of that?" My first one of my first times to ever play in a quote unquote like band, like a modern band, like a bass guitar, drummer, keyboard player, that type of thing was my youth group. And I was in I would have been in 10th grade and 10th or 11th grade, somewhere around there. And I had started the process of learning that I could improv. I had been playing for this Irish band for a little bit and had um, had my youth pastor was like, "Hey, could you do what you do with that band with the worship music?" And I was like, "I don't, sure, I guess. Like I've never done that before." He was like, "Hey, I want you to bring your violin next Sunday and try it." I was like, "Okay, I'll try it." And that's my first like start in like worship music or playing in a band. And
That's
that
awesome.
led to a whole lot of other things. And then I took a when I was at Skillet, I after my dad passed away in 2015, I took break, and was pretty sure I was done with music. I was like, I'm out. Like I'm good. And I honestly thought that I kind of had given all that I could. I had lived life. I've been to, 30 something countries with this band and played in front of thousands of people. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done it. Let's try and figure something else out. And um, I had an opportunity. Someone called and said like, "Hey, would you be interested in playing for our group?" And I was like, I'm gonna take a break. I'm kind of done for a little while. And they were like, "Well, like we'd love for you to consider. Like, think about it." And so I put it on the back burner. They were like, "Hey, can you let us know like at least like within the next week or so?" And so I call a friend up, and he's been with me through the journey of like walking through my dad passing away and like talking with me about music and things like that. He was like, "Man, it's like I don't think that you would be. I don't think that um." He was like essentially like I don't think that you should be turning this opportunity down. It's like if you were being faithful to step away from it because God asked you to step away from it, and then this opportunity came up, and not just this person believes in you, but I also believe that you are meant to be doing this. I don't think you need to stop. And I took that opportunity, and that opened up a whole nother set of doors. Like that, when I thought my career was done, I'm doing more now that I never thought I would ever accomplish. And
Right.
I had people in my life that were very much encouraging to continue to pursue creation and pursue doing what I do and believing in it still. And um, you know, I mean, I have so many people along the journey that have said, "You should do this thing. You should try that thing." And they believed in me, and
Yeah.
I was bold enough to listen and bold enough to give it a shot. And it has been a very rewarding journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to your three P's, really.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, you mentioned your creation ultimately is for God.
Yeah.
And, I also believe that he opens and closes doors
Yeah.
according to the plan he has for you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have similar things too, where I'm like, I can't pay rent, I can't buy groceries.
Yep.
Why am I trying to be a photographer?
Right.
This is
Right.
ridiculous at this point. And then,
Right.
I was actually just telling my wife the other day, we were talking about praying, and it's like, I specifically remember a time where I was like $500 short of rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I prayed that night, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I I'm done. I'm over this. Like, God, I'm just crying out at this point. And then the next day I got a check for like 550
Golly.
from
Yeah.
like a job I forgot about or something. I was like, all right. It's just kind of
I
like,
think for every moment that we pray that we don't get that blessing, there is one that happens and you go, I just need to keep praying.
right,
Like, like I have just as many stories of like, God, why am I like, why is this happening? Like, why am I experiencing these things? Or how are you going to take care of me how are you going to take care of this situation? Or how,
right,
he teaches me something through each of those moments. And then just as I'm starting to get discouraged, he's like, hey, I'm still here.
right,
I'm, I'm not forgetting you. Just because you didn't experience the thing that you thought you needed in those other ones doesn't mean I'm not there in those moments. But the moment that he's like, yeah, he's not like he's never the magic eight ball, but he is always he is always constantly like he's always going to constantly respond. Like he's not going to always tell you yes. um, and I think that's the beauty of that relationship is trusting that like in the moments that you don't receive, he's still good, but in the moments that you receive, he's still good, and both moments he still deserves being honored through that.
Right.
And that's the hardest part about the Christian walk, I think, is like, like the secular media will play it as, oh, it's like, well, he's not giving you all the good stuff. It's like, well, he is good to giving me the good stuff. He walks with me every day.
Right.
um, that's the good stuff. And if I'm willing to reach out and see that every tough moment is just as beautiful as every like good moment, there, like, he's in every step of all of that, in those moments. So, um, yeah, it's it's such a journey. Again, like we've used that word so many times tonight, but it really is like it's a beautiful path that's um the 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 road of creation and the road of following God are like they have those hard twists and turns, but getting to that reward and seeing the hard that time together showing off is really amazing. There's a really great book called The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. He was a Franciscan monk. Let's see. He was uh, a monk in Paris in the 1600s. But essentially, the process of essentially he started to write letters back and forth to another monk that he knew at another monastery, and he was often seeing in the mundane God working. And he, like, one of the ones that always sticks out in my head is that he was washing dishes for um, the other the other brothers in the um, monastery, and he had a moment of like, God, I'm grateful that I get to do this. I'm grateful that I get to wash dishes. And my mom has always said it's like her when she was growing up. Something her mom used to say was, if you have, she comes from a very poor Chinese background in Hong Kong, and but her mom would say like, you if you have dirty dishes, it meant that you had a meal, you got food, and to be grateful in the process of washing dishes because you hope that the meal will come again, essentially, that you're cleaning these dishes so that it's ready for the next opportunity to eat. And I
Right.
often see that like a lot in life, that if I look back at my journey, how I got here, there were there were lots of little stepping stones of people that it said, this is going to be hard. This is not great. That's not fun. Like, like little stepping stones along the way, but each moment it was worth it. It was worth noting that like I'm still doing this.
Right.
I'm still doing it. Like I'm gonna enjoy even this hard part of not knowing what's coming next. I'm still like stepping along the way, getting there, and the journey, that process of being grateful in that moment for that thing. Um, I think I kind of took a left-hand turn on that, but um, but he is faithful in each of those mundane moments, just as much as in the big moments that,
Yeah.
yeah.
And all that to say is, yeah, you do have friends encouraging you.
Yes.
Well,
Sorry, that was a very left-hand turn, but I
I
think
took
I
it
think
that
they
way
tried to
too.
get.
That's the beauty of this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Question 8. Not everyone gets paid to create something they are passionate about, but where do you see the value in people still pursuing their
Mm,
passions?
that's good. I mean, I think that goes back to um my three P's of purpose, practice, and performance. I tell a lot of students, never turn down a gig. Like, I played just as many funerals as I played weddings. Um, and everyone teaches me something a little bit more about how I perform and the reason behind it. And that the job of the musician is to elevate emotional experience, at least in my standpoint. Like, you're helping people feel emotions, experience those emotions, and walk out with a certain set of emotions, whether that's emotions you're passing off, or in like in music where there's songs involved, you're conveying a certain idea and message, and you're passing that off and hope that they carry that out. Um, I think that if you don't get paid to create, uh, I think that it should be, you should see it as that part of that process of who you are as the creator. Like it should just be a part of, like let's do it to do it. Like let's have fun in those moments as much as the moments you are getting paid. Um, it should it should be valuable. You should see value in it in both moments of like I this is valuable, and you definitely shouldn't undersell yourself. Charge what you're worth, um, and charge for your art if you can, but use moments to create. And I think that moments that people are creating, I think that again it teaches you about the process of working hard through something, and even if you don't get paid for it, it's still worth it because you're challenging, you're expanding your brain, you're giving yourself some more wrinkles in your gray matter, and it helps you see life in a very it it helps you see life more beautifully, more colorfully, because creating is worth it. And I'll use my crocheting things in my example again. Like I didn't think it's something that I would love, but I've really fallen in love with it, and have really enjoyed the process of creating. And I'm definitely not getting paid for it. I'm paying a lot of money for
Right. Yeah.
but it's still like the art of it, the aspect of it of learning something new, being willing to persevere through a skill set that I don't have, brings me back to where I started when I was playing violin and early on, going, I don't know how to do that. Like you can't do it for me. I have to learn how to do this, and I'm going to learn. It's going to suck, but I'm going to try my best. Um, so I think they should be passionate about it. I mean, I have friends that play. I have friends play for this ukulele pop up flash mob thing in town, and that's like one of the reasons why they love playing is because they get to go and like they're passionate about playing the ukulele, but then it's really fun like in those moments that like to go out and just all of a sudden 30 ukulele players are hanging around you.
You're like, what is going on?
Yeah, exactly. What is happening here? They're not getting paid for that, but they're definitely finding a lot of joy in that creation.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to see value in what you do for the joy of yourself, of self learning and self growing, as well as hopefully sharing that with others.
Yeah.
And if you get paid for it, that's a really awesome bonus.
Right. I was just hearing you talk about it. I was like just thinking about all of the concerts I shot. I didn't get paid,
Right.
and but it was like I was so passionate about it,
Yeah.
and I just kept doing it. And
Yeah.
because I kept doing it, I now get paid to shoot photos.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like you may not get paid now,
Right. But
but
you never know.
you keep doing it, you
Yeah.
might.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think too, like the accountants who their job made some people hate their jobs.
Yeah.
And if they have something they can go home and do that they're passionate about, like how filling to your soul is that?
I think that's why I love being a barista because it started out as something that I wasn't getting paid for, but I
Right.
pursued to be good. I competed in a couple latte art competitions before I was became like a professional barista, and it was really fun. It was such an, obviously not everybody's gonna have like gonna go out and buy an espresso machine and start that process, but like, if you have the opportunity to do it, then I found a budget way to do it, and I loved it. It was really
Yeah.
fun to be able to expand on that knowledge. Same for this, you know, crochet thing. Like I think I'm definitely going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it for the enjoyment of keeping my brain busy and my hands busy and like my dexterity strong. Um, but I definitely don't. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll crochet a blanket for somebody. We'll
uh,
see.
yeah. I mean, I think the root of it is creators always need to create.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to do something.
It is a very important process of
Yeah.
us.
Like we can't think of doing anything but create and
Yeah.
something, you know.
Yeah.
It's we're wired that way, I think. Number 9. How can you encourage others to live a life of creation and to see the value in the act of creation? I mean, I think we're kind of
Yeah, we
just
just
talking.
covered that. Yeah, I was about to say like it's a lot of just being willing to find joy in the process of learning something new, as well as like um, seeing each step as important. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think creating things really is a way to enrich your life. And
yeah,
I mean, it kind of gives it purpose, meaning, um, soul fulfillment. Um, yeah, there's so many benefits to creating something,
yeah,
even if it's just for yourself, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's why you and I do so many different things because it's just
Partly necessity.
well, well, there's like the
But yeah.
necessity, but it's just like we enjoy that journey.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I've kind of mastered this to a
Yeah.
degree. Let's see what's over here. And jump into something else. Drives my wife nuts.
It's like, what project are you doing
Yeah.
now?
She's like, What are you getting into again?"
I love it.
Just living my life of creation.
Yeah.
All right. 10. Question 10, last one. How would you like to see yourself grow as a creator?
Oh man, just always being willing to create. I think that's like I want to see myself as I want to see myself continuing on through my years as always being fascinated by the how things work, how a talent becomes, going after things that I just like seeing, never being afraid to try something. I hope that as a creator, as I grow, I continue to utilize the tools that I've used for so many years to whatever new thing comes next. Um, and just not be discouraged if things get harder as I get older. Knowing that my mental elasticity will slow down a little bit as I get older, but still be willing to just try. Um, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the most. I think that's the part of as I look at my age and look at as to getting older, um, hoping and praying that I don't lose the childlike interest of, oh, I want to try that, like, or I want to do that thing. Like I don't want to stop feeling that initial
Yeah.
pull as a creator
Yeah.
of trying something new.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you probably won't be jumping off stage risers forever.
Right, exactly. I only have a few more years left of doing
Yeah.
that. My knees
Yeah.
will eventually start saying, you can't do this anymore, buddy."
Yeah. My knees already say that. Um, but I think that's something we think about now as, you know, as we're turning that corner of, okay, we're kind of hitting the midlife,
Yeah.
you know, what's next as far as our creation story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it's, you know, like you mentioned teaching students and stuff. It's like, okay, now we're to that point where we can take our knowledge, our wisdom, our experiences and start teaching, you know, the people who are going to, like you said, take over our jobs. You
Right.
know, we're just training our replacements at this point.
Right.
But it's like that in itself is kind of exciting in a
Yeah.
way because it's like, all right, I do know something, and these people want to learn from me. And it's, slowing down in life doesn't mean your creation has to slow down. It just means
That's
we
right.
create different things, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's it. That's the 10 questions.
Yeah.